the ongoing support of the paid shill class in the Republican Party by the ownership class is nothing short of astonishing. And I here, this is an incredible example of this. The Duck Dynasty show. The Duck Dynasty guys, they're to the right of pretty much everybody, and they've done. It's a great performance. I mean, you see the pictures of these guys back when they were preppies. All the young men. One of them's a lawyer. I mean, they all used to look very spiffy and fashionable. And they're very rich. I mean, Daddy built a multi-million-dollar business. But because or not necessarily but, and perhaps because they are pushing the right-wing line, Governor Bobby Jindal down in Louisiana, this is where Duck Dynasty, where the guys live and where they film their show, which is collapsing in the ratings, but still. Louisiana has a $1.6 billion budget deficit because of conservative economic policies promoted by Bobby Jindal and the Republicans in the House and Senate there. But they are still giving millions of dollars to Duck Dynasty. The state of Louisiana. This is from PoliticusUSA.com. The headline, despite $1.6 billion budget hole, Louisiana is still subsidizing Duck Dynasty. Listen to this. Feeding Time Productions, LLC. This is the company that owns Duck Dynasty that the Ducks own, right? Feeding Time Productions? Yeah, they're feeding at the public trough. I mean, Republicans yet love to scream about welfare, right? Oh my God, there's a poor black woman who's got a couple of kids and she's getting $235 a month in welfare benefits. We can't have that, right? I mean, that's the kind of stuff that they love to go off on, okay? Just listen to this sentence. Feeding Time Productions, the producer of Duck Dynasty, is seeking $11 million in new tax credits. Now, a tax credit is where the government writes you a check. Feeding Time Productions, the producer of Duck Dynasty, is seeking $11 million in new tax credits for the next 4 years to subsidize the cost for filming the show. Although Louisiana only recovered 23 cents in revenue for every entertainment credit dollar it approved in 2013 and 2014, Bobby Jindal wants to preserve the status quo. He regards removing entertainment subsidies as tantamount to a tax hike. Now, and then they point out, ironically, Phil Robertson, the bearded right-wing Christian patriarch of the Duck Dynasty clan, has been a sharp critic of welfare. This is very interesting. On his program, or on their program, the Duck Dynasty guys, I don't know, actually I've never seen Duck Dynasty, so I can't say that they do it on their program, but certainly off their program. They criticize people getting welfare at the same time that they're asking for $11 million from the state of Louisiana just to help subsidize their program. What do you call that? I mean, the largest corporations in America are getting huge handouts from our government. Everything from R&D to tax breaks to, it's just the amount of money that we spend in the United States on corporate welfare of this kind is somewhere between $2 and $3 trillion a year. It's costing you and me somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000 a year. And yet, all the Republican Party wants to talk about, all Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell and, I mean, you name it, right? John Boehner, all they want to talk about is individual human beings in the United States whose towns have been decimated, Baltimore, by 35 years of Reaganism and insane so-called free trade policies. They want to blame those people for the fact that their jobs have been ripped out of their communities, their factories have been shut down, their incomes have been destroyed. They are essentially trapped. They're being exploited by the police and the local officials. Oh, you're walking in the street, Michael Brown? Hey, you're not allowed to do that. I mean, we're gonna ticket you, and then you're gonna have to pay us. And then if you can't pay the ticket, then we jack up the fine. And if we jack up the fine enough, and you can't pay, then we're gonna put you in jail until your family comes up with the money. I mean, Ferguson was extracting a couple $1 million a year out of the black community in that town, a poor black community by and large. How do these guys deal with the cognitive dissonance, the intellectual hypocrisy, the intellectual mess that they have created in the United States, where they literally built their reputation, starting with Reagan in 1980, talking when he was running for president in 1980. He kicked off his campaign down in near Philadelphia, Mississippi, at a county fair, talking about states' rights, just a few miles from the place where 3 civil rights workers were murdered back in the 60s. It was no mistake. Reagan began his campaign reaching out to the white racists in the South. And then, carried that forward by going after black people by and large, because he was speaking in code. There's this welfare queen who shows up in her Cadillac at the welfare office and is making over $100,000 a year, or words to that effect. And so the New York Times said, oh, really? Let's find her. They couldn't find her. Fraud in the food stamp program is less than 1%. What do you call it when a profitable television program being owned and run by a bunch of multimillionaires goes to the state and says, please give us $11 million? Is that fraud? Is that just scamming the system? See, here, the reason I bring this up is because there's an essential point that I haven't gotten to yet that is really the key to understanding the whole thing. Henry Wallace, back in 1944, said that the corporate class in America, he used the word fascist. It's not a good idea, I think, to use that word so much these days. But basically, the corporate class in America was reaching out to seize control of the government of the United States and of the individual states. Why? Because government defines the rules of the game of business. So if you can control the power of the marketplace, and you can control the power of government, which defines the parameters of the marketplace, it would be like the New England Patriots taking over the NFL and saying, we're going to change the rules. So from now on, all balls are deflated by 30% if the Pats are on offense. But when they go on defense, hey, the ball's got to be fully inflated. To bring up a popular debate and metaphor. You get it? I mean, this is really anti-American.